Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is May 22nd, 2026, and we are going to read from Numbers chapter 31, and we're going to read Psalm 75 and 76 together. All right, so what's happening in Numbers? Well, see my little pericope heading says vengeance on the Moabites. Now, we saw as the Israelites came into this plain of Moab and they attacked the Amalekites who had attacked the Moabites to take the plain. So they didn't take the plain from the Moabites, the Israelites took it from the Amalekites. And they're only there temporarily. But the Moabite king decides he doesn't like that. He conspires with the Midianites, and they go hire this guy named Balaam, and they want him, who is a false prophet, false pagan prophet. But God did occasionally use him for things. And so they hire him to come and curse the Israelites. And God says, you know what? If you're going to go, you need to say exactly what I'm going to tell you to the kings. And he does, which is, hey, no, God's blessing them. And if you want to oppose them, God is going to come at you. But they opposed them anyway. And now we're going to see God coming at them. Now, we're piecing together a few things that after the cursing fails, the king of Moab and the king of Midian come up with a plan, and then Balaam is the one that comes up with the plan with them, which is, okay, we can't attack them directly. And Balaam says, okay, well, this is what you ought to do, is send your women to them, because they ain't going to resist your women, and you'll infiltrate them that way, by having their men marry your women. And your women can just kind of push them away from Yahweh towards your God. And we're seeing that that was kind of successful when we get here in 31. And God says, no, that's got to end. I told you, my people, Israel, not to attack the Moabites and the Midianites because they were your cousins. But since they attacked you, that's off now. Now I want you to go and execute my wrath on these Midianites by wiping them out. They're done. They had their chance. Going to wipe them out. Now, this is not all the Midianites. There's a couple of different pockets of them. These are the ones that actually plotted against Israel that he says wipe them out. So let's go ahead. We're going to read Numbers 31. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take vengeance on the Midianites for the children of Israel. Afterward you shall be gathered to your people. So Moses, this is his last act that he's going to do. So Moses spoke to the people, saying, arm some of yourselves for war, and let them go against the Midianites to take vengeance for the Lord on Midian. 1,000 from each tribe of all the tribes of Israel you shall send to the war. So they were recruited from the divisions of Israel, 1,000 from each tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Then Moses sent them to the war, 1,000 from each tribe. He sent them to the war with Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest, and with the holy articles and the signal trumpets in his hand. And they warred against the Midianites, just as the Lord commanded Moses, and they killed all the males. They killed the kings of Midian with the rest of those who were killed, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. Balaam the son of Beor they also killed with the sword. And the children of Israel took the women of Midian captive with their little ones, and took as spoil all their cattle, all their flocks, and all their goods. They also burned with fire all the cities where they dwelt, and all their forts, and they took all the spoil and all the booty of man and beast. Then they brought the captives, the booty and the spoil, to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of the children of Israel, to the camp in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. And Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the congregation went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was angry with the officers of the army, with the captains over thousands and the captains over hundreds who had come from the battle. And Moses said to them, have you kept all the women alive? Look, these women caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor, and there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man intimately. But keep alive for yourselves all the young girls who have not known a man intimately. And as for you, remain outside the camp 7 days. Whoever has killed any person and whoever has touched any slain, purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Purify every garment, everything made of leather, everything woven of goat's hair, and everything made of wood. Why kill all the women? Well, first of all, that's where the sin entered the camp. So if God's going to punish that sin and take that sin away, that's why the women have to die, because they were the source of that sin. Not saying all women are evil. Not saying this is God commanding always kill women. This is a specific incident that God is punishing, and he can't allow the sin to continue. Because if he does, it just comes right back into the camp. And we see in that mercy that, okay, you don't kill all the women. If they weren't actually part of the plot, they're virgins, don't kill them. That's okay, they can live. But the ones who actually came into our camp and tried to seduce you away from me, those are going to be punished. And then he goes on to say, and because you've touched dead people in this war, you have to be cleansed before you can come back to me. And that's where we are now in verse 21. Then Eleazar the priest said to the men of war who had gone to the battle, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord commanded Moses. Only the gold, the silver, the bronze, the iron, the tin, and the lead, everything that can endure fire, you shall put through the fire, and it shall be clean, and it shall be purified with the water of purification. But all that cannot endure fire you shall put through water, and you shall wash your clothes on the seventh day and be clean, and afterward you may come into the camp. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, count up the plunder that was taken of man and beast, you and Eleazar the priest and the chief fathers of the congregation, and divide the plunder into 2 parts between those who took part in the war, who went out to battle, and all the congregation, and levy a tribute for the Lord on the men of war who went out to battle. 1 of every 500 of the persons, the cattle, the donkeys, and the sheep. Take it from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as a heave offering to the Lord. And from the children of Israel half you shall take, 1 of every 50 drawn from the persons, the cattle, the donkeys, and the sheep, from all the livestock, and give them to the Levites who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord. So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded. So they took all of what they took from the Midianites, and God said, divide it into half. The people who actually went and fought, they get half. They can divide it up, but they have to give a tithe to the Levites and give the other half to all of the congregation of people of Israel, and they have to tithe from their half to the Midianites, to the Levites. Verse 32, the booty remaining from the plunder which the men of war had taken was 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 persons in all, of women who had not known a man intimately. And the half, the portion for those who had gone out to war, was in number 337,500 sheep, and the Lord's tribute to the sheep was 675. The cattle were 36,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 72. The donkeys were 30,500, of which the Lord's tribute was 61. The persons were 16,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 32 persons. So Moses gave the tribute, which was the Lord's heave offering, to Eleazar the priest, as the Lord commanded Moses. And from the children of Israel's half, which Moses separated from the men who fought, now the half belonging to the congregation was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 persons. And from the children of Israel's half, Moses took 1 of every 50 drawn from man and beast, and gave them to the Levites, who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. Then the officers who were over thousands of the army, the captains of thousands and the captain of hundreds, came near to Moses, and they said to Moses, your servants have taken account of the men of war who are under our command, and not a man of us is missing. Therefore we have brought an offering for the Lord, what every man found of ornaments of gold, armlets and bracelets, and signet rings, and earrings and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord. So the men counted up who went out to war and realized, hey, we all came back, and they give God another offering. So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from them, all the fashioned ornaments, and all the gold of the offering that they offered to the Lord from the captains of thousands and captains of hundreds was 16,750 shekels. The men of war had taken spoil, every man for himself, and Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and brought it into the tabernacle of meeting as a memorial for the children of Israel before the Lord. Let's go over to Psalms. Let's start with Psalm 75, thanksgiving for God's righteous judgment. To the chief musician set to Do Not Destroy, a psalm of Asaph, a song. So again, is it written by Asaph? Was it written for him in his style? Not really sure of it, and it's not really tied to an event, a particular event. But whoever comes up with this psalm, they're thinking of God stepping in, and his hand decided something in favor of the people, and we're acknowledging that, and we're worshiping him for that. Verse 1, we give thanks to you, O God, we give thanks, for your wondrous works declare that your name is near. When I choose the proper time, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all its inhabitants are dissolved. I set up its pillars firmly. I said to the boastful, do not deal boastfully, and to the wicked, do not lift up the horn. Do not lift up your horn on high. Do not speak with a stiff neck, for exaltation comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another, for in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red, it is fully mixed, and he pours it out. Surely its dregs shall all the wicked of the earth drain and drink down. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked I will also cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. Psalm 76, the majesty of God in judgment. The chief musician on stringed instruments, the psalm of Asaph, a song. So we're moving from thanksgiving and praise fully into worship, and worshiping God in his glory at this judgment that he has shown the people. In Judah the king is known, his name is great in Israel, and Salem also is his tabernacle and his dwelling place in Zion. There he broke the arrows of the bow, the shield and sword of battle. You are more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey. The stout-hearted were plundered, they have sunk into their sleep, and none of the mighty men have found the use of their hands. At your rebuke, O God of Jacob, both the chariot and the horse were cast into a deep dead sleep. So kind of talking about Sennacherib when he came and besieged Jerusalem, and they were worried and they were scared, and then they woke up one day and they were gone. You yourself are to be feared, verse 7, and who may stand in your presence when once you are angry? Who caused judgment to be heard from heaven? The earth feared and was still, when God arose to judgment to deliver all the oppressed of the earth. Surely the wrath of man shall praise you. With the remainder of wrath you shall gird yourself. Make vows to the Lord your God and pay them. Let all who are around him bring presents to him who ought to be feared. He shall cut off the spirit of princes. He is awesome to the kings of the earth. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.